Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. With the season only a few weeks away, I think it's just the perfect time to start making some bold calls and just give my predictions for who I think will take home the major NBA awards for the 2025-26 NBA season. We're going to be going through the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, your DPOY, your Most Improved, and your Sixth Man. And I'll just be breaking down who I think has the best case and just more what storylines really drive the voters. That's a big thing in the casual media these days, and which surprise names I reckon will sneak into the conversation. So these are just always some of the toughest predictions to make because we know it's not just about stats, it's also about impact, it's also about media consensus, about narratives, about health, and just how the season unfolds. But that's really what makes it fun, and obviously we'll probably get all of these awards wrong, but we'll give it our best shot. So with that, we'll dive into my award picks for this season, starting with my MVP pick, which is none other than Nikola Jokic, who I anticipate to win his 5th MVP award. Now, for Nikola Jokic, the case really starts with two main factors, and these are the factors that mainly drive these MVP cases that we see, and it really starts with the team factor. For Denver, obviously, we've seen massive roster talent upgrades throughout their roster, particularly in the improvements in ball handling. Obviously, Cam Johnson, compared to what they got from MPJ, that starting lineup, just a much more stable, capable, stronger ball handler. Someone who actually provides a bit more pick and roll versatility as a ball handler, a bit more closeout attacking, a bit more mid-range intermediate shot making as well in there. And that does really uphold their ceiling overall. And in terms of just the spot-up variance that they're getting, it's not just MPJ sparking volume jump shooting. It's also just the ability to attack and actually finish as a more versatile scoring piece. Also bringing in a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., I think, as well. So you're mitigating a lot of that movement shooting loss. It's no doubt and no question that Michael Porter Jr. was a much stronger shooter than Cam Johnson last season, but bringing in a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., a guy known for specifically dribble handoff and off-screen movement shooting to an extremely high degree. And we saw that with Detroit last year, getting him on a cheap deal coming off the bench. He can supplement a bit of what they lost in that department as well. Obviously, the Jonas Valanciunas pickup, that will allow the Nuggets as well to generally float that physical dribble handoff style of initiation in those non-Jokic minutes. And so basically from those major roster upgrades, it's just a major talent upgrade overall for Denver. And that just plays into the actual record that they'll be able to get. And that is a major factor for Jokic's MVP conversation. Obviously, another part to the actual team success factor is the consistent chemistry-based system that Denver's been able to run for years upon years now. And it's an offense that revolves around the exact same overall foundation, and it's really that methodical physical advantage creation piece in the half court. And this is the best half court offense in the NBA, especially when they do translate to the postseason. And it's because they heavily rely on two specific actions, and it really stems from the Murray-Jokic pick and roll, and your Jokic post-ups and Jokic creation from the elbows with your cutters and your timely spacing as well. And really just the ability to physically impose your offense. That is the biggest luxury in today's NBA. And obviously when you get to the postseason as well, that's a major upgrade, but also for clutch situations for regular season basketball. And I just think the consistent chemistry that this team has overall will also play into their success factor. Obviously, they've made some major talent upgrades across the roster. I didn't even talk about Bruce Brown as well now. I'm just remembering, but obviously just the talent upgrades, I don't think it will exactly affect too much of the chemistry piece. These are guys that can slot into very achievable and very needed roles for this team, especially with what Tim Hardaway Jr. will bring from what they lost with MPJ and the extra ball handling that you're getting from Cam Johnson that guys like Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon just aren't particularly as strong as. And I just think overall the chemistry side will be extremely strong. And in terms of the team success anticipation for this team for the regular season, I could see Denver winning up to 58 to 60 games this season. And I think the only real rival in the entire league is really what, for Jokic's point of view, is really what SGA can do success-wise with OKC in the regular season. I just think OKC probably poses as a higher floor team for the regular season. Yeah, I reckon OKC will probably win around 64 to 65 games again. But obviously the difference is that Jokic has the advantage in that he naturally impacts Denver more than what SGA does for OKC. And that really is because OKC's main predominant strength is their competitive advantage really lies in their defense. Denver rely mostly on their reliable physical offensive identity and their pristine offensive process. And that is really their superpower. And Jokic impacts that better than anyone else in the game. And in NBA history, this is the most overpowered offensive weapon in the NBA and of all time. And just for that fact, I just think Denver are more reliant on what Nikola Jokic does. And that was obviously evident last year, but I just think the gap in winning record was too big last year not to give SGA the MVP award. And I just think everything to do with the team factor, I think, leans towards Nikola Jokic also grabbing this title. The other two-pronged approach to this part is the individual and statistical dominance that I think Nikola Jokic will no doubt exhibit once again. We've seen it for absolutely years upon years, and really even since he made his first All-NBA first team in 2019, but this guy dominates the impact and advanced metrics to an obscene level. And he's got the basic production numbers on his side. Last season, he averaged 30, 13, and 10 on 63% effective field goal percentage. And he was the league leader in offensive rating at 125.6. And now this is his fourth consecutive season ranking in the 100th percentile for cleaning the glasses on-off differential metrics last season, as he posted a plus 23 points per 100 possession mark. And literally, this is the most impactful guy in the league. And I think that will no doubt be exhibited once again. And this is the most talented roster that he's been paired with. So I think overall, his case for the MVP has never been stronger. And that's a very strong statement to make, considering he's already won 3 MVPs. And to be honest, I actually could see Nikola Jokic just absolutely running away with this award. The media loves him, and a lot of the media still believes he should have won a fourth MVP award last year. And I just think the overall narrative around him as well will also help. For Jokic as well, when we are also evaluating the individual standpoint, it's also the overall load for an offense that he brings. He just brings obscene value on and off the ball, and it's to the highest degree in the NBA, even more so than what we see from Steph Curry at this point in time. And just no one actually matches the combination of gravity, off-ball gravity, and on-ball reliability like Nikola Jokic when it comes to overall creation. He's an all-time level spacing center. Last season, we saw him score the ball at 1.33 points per possession per spot up. And that was good enough for 96th percentile, and that's coming from your center spot. He's also the best post-up guy in basketball. Last season, averaged by far league-leading 6 possessions a game, scoring the ball at 1.09 points per possession. That's just a clutch time feature and the strongest part of his overall scoring game. And he's such a versatile pick-and-roll ball handler and roll man as well at the center spot. And there's really just nothing that this guy can't do at a high level in terms of the efficiency part of scoring the ball and creating advantages for a team. And I just think the overall load that he's carrying for Denver's offense, which is their superpower, obviously the narrative surrounding Denver's anticipated resurgence as well, this will all bolster what will be an all-time level MVP campaign from Nikola Jokic, in my opinion. He's got the motor, he's got the motivation, he's got the intensity to go into this season full head of steam, in my opinion, especially after Denver, compared, their regular season last season was one of the most underwhelming that we've seen in years. And in the postseason, we didn't see a team really test OKC the way Denver did out of the Western Conference at all. A Game 7 series, no one else in that Western Conference last season was going to give OKC that good of a run for their money. And I just think Nikola Jokic actually has the full-on belief from the get-go that this can be the best Denver team that they've won, and they can hoist the trophy for the second time. And I think that will really play into just how dominant of a regular season we will see once again. I don't know about the basic production numbers being as stellar as they were last season, but when you're factoring the improvements in team success, I think this will no doubt be his for the taking. And therefore, my MVP pick of 2026 will be Nikola Jokic, and I think he'll notch his 4th MVP award for his career and just keep cementing what will probably be a top 10 overall individual career of all time. My runner-ups, though, for this award, obviously, my 2 and 3 spots will probably go to Shea and Luka. I just think team success dominance by SGA. I just think the improvements that SGA will also see just in terms of the offensive maturity, the offensive initiation maturity as a table setter as well, more so. We saw major improvements in terms of the IQ and the reaction process in the playoffs as an offensive initiator. I think that will carry through in the regular season, just make him a more sustainable offensive advantage creator in general, not just like this elite scoring force. I think he'll actually be a more diversified creator from the get-go. Luka, on the other hand, I'm anticipating Luka to have one of the best individual offensive seasons of all time when it comes to, I think he'll average 39 and 9 this season. I just think a bit more refined with the explosiveness there. I think he actually has he's going to be really engaged to actually contribute to one of the most overpowered offenses in the league. And we know what this guy does as one of the peak floor raisers in the NBA, and he's playing in one of the biggest markets at the moment. And if LA can somehow muster up between 50 to 53 wins, I think Luka's going to have a great case for the MVP award. So I'll have him finishing third for this award. But in saying that, Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, is going to win his 4th MVP this upcoming season. Next up, we have the Rookie of the Year award. I think this award's a pretty obvious choice. I have Cooper Flagg winning it. And when it comes to the actual competition that's actually rivaling him, I think it's pretty low. In terms of like the actual role, the usage, the overall skill set that Cooper brings for his rookie campaign, I think it's a pretty easy pick. And the overall argument for Cooper to win an outright clear Rookie of the Year case, I just think it stands between a few points. And like Jokic, it kind of just starts with the team role, but also just the load that he'll be placed in upon the get-go. And that's really what carves out these Rookie of the Year cases. You have to actually be relied upon, and you have to have good minutes from the get-go, good possessions, good reliance on both on and off ball corks as well. You have to provide a lot of two-way impact from the get-go, and if you're contributing to an actual high-level team, that will also place you pretty high. And so starting with like the offense, I mean, for Dallas, it's going to be a lot of reliance on Cooper Flagg as a pick-and-roll ball handler, especially without Kyrie in the lineup. And for Dallas's case, I mean, obviously defensively, when we know they're going to be a physical juggernaut, but on the offensive side of the thing, they're just losing a ton of skill without Kyrie in the roster. Obviously, they've signed D'Lo to provide a bit more of that shot making, but in terms of like the actual experience that Cooper's going to get as a pick-and-roll ball handler, especially for projected first half of the ceiling, I just think that'll give him a more noticeable case in terms of the versatility on the offensive end of the floor. And that's really good for Cooper's case. I mean, individually, both for the stat production numbers, but also for the eye test. Like, he's not going to have a rookie season where he's just strictly being this off-ball impacting wing, like a guy that's just strictly in transition, on cutting lanes, working on the glass. He's going to actually be contributing as a ball handler on midsection pick and rolls, and really just, he has a few tools to work with. He is 18 years old, and, you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I mean, I know obviously as a ball handler, it's very intriguing for the future, but this is an 18-year-old, pretty inexperienced, pretty raw skill-wise, like perimeter shot creator at the moment. But in terms of what he can bring so far, he has a really good game sense for angles. Like driving angles, really good anticipating, spinning through traffic. He's got really nice finishing strengths. He's athletically so gifted. He's got the vertical launch. He's got the body contortion, and then he also has relatively developed touch at the rim as well. And he's good at getting over the rim too, so that gives him a subtle advantage over rim protectors too. Super agile, cracking into those downhill crevices too. Really willing as a passing prospect, and this is also where he's not just strictly someone that has to create within the two-man out of the pick and roll. Like, he can actually create skip passes and set up those spot-up closeout attacks. And overall, I actually think he presents a bit more polish as a ball handler than some may anticipate. And also, like, compared to a guy like Amen Thompson, who a lot of people for Houston actually anticipate to take a lot of ball handling duties, I just think Cooper also provides more pull-up shooting talent in that department. He's got the over-the-top advantages. He's really worked on those shot mechanics as well. And we saw in college how much of a threat he can be from the intermediate range from time to time. And that gives him a bit more to work and leverage with as well when you do have some sort of a pull-up shooting talent. He's not just strictly a guy that has to finish at the rim. And he's got that intermediate game in his bag too. So I just think there's a few tools for him to work with as a ball handler for the first few months of the season. And as he gets more comfortable, I mean, that will help him no doubt towards the next half of the season when Kyrie does return. And when they do want to have Kyrie on the bench and they can actually stagger their minutes, rely on Cooper a little bit. I just think Cooper's such a mature basketball player, and he'll get and attain this experience really, really fast. And I think if you're giving him these types of responsibilities from the get-go, he's going to absolutely take them and run with them. And he's going to develop in the blink of an eye from the get-go. And just also adding to like the on-ball stuff as well. I mean, the value of this guy's spacing, both all at the rim in transition and as a spot-up attacker with real closeout attacking work, like technique. I mean, this guy's going to be absolutely huge for Dallas's massive and oversized front line, especially when you do have a guy who does have substantial length and size on his frame, but someone that provides extreme athletic traits, especially when you are pairing him in a front line where, Anthony Davis looks absolutely super bulky, and we don't know how much mobility Anthony Davis will be able to provide when he's weighing 263 pounds at this point now. And just the versatility that he provides across lineups with Cooper. He's a guy that's capable from running the 2 to the 4 positions realistically in the NBA. And when you're able to cover that many positions, it just gives your team a lot more offensive schematic versatility. And for a rookie, contributing to an actual win-now situation, I just think that's pretty invaluable. Then you're also flipping defensively, this guy's going to be an absolute nightmare. And in terms of his anticipated role, I think we're going to see him more as that elite back pressure type of athlete, someone with extraordinary backside shot contesting talent as well. And just in those lineups where he is pitched at the 4, I think we're going to see some extreme backline rim protection and just absolutely elite ability to switch and rotate with speed and intelligence. And so again, you're just digging into the schematic versatility, and this is really just the stuff that he brings as an overall prospect for the future. But I think we're actually going to see a ton of this on display, especially in this first season. But I just think he has enough perimeter polish as a point of attack defender that he'll be able to thrive next to a double big front line pretty seamlessly. And obviously the defensive strengths will be on absolute display. And to be honest with you, I expect Dallas to post a super strong defensive rating this season. And if they really get the notoriety for being a tough-minded, elite rim protection defense, I think a lot of that nod will go to Cooper's ability to fit and mold in a situation where the foot speed isn't overly appealing. And then also just overall, just ranking what I think his season will be, I think Cooper will definitely notch himself into those top 50 player conversations in the league. And that is really elite work for someone who is a rookie. And I think this season we'll see an average stat line of around 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. And you might be able to get 2 to 2.5 stocks per game. And I think it will just be mostly an efficient shot diet with heaps of transition, heaps of cutting, heaps of work around the glass. But we'll also see a lot of on-ball reps, which will really carve out one of the most versatile players in the league, not just for the future, but as of right now. Obviously, rivals for this award, I think Dylan Harper. I think, obviously, with Dylan, though, the only drawback with him compared to Cooper is just a lessened role that we'll have. We don't know if he'll actually get primary ball handling stake in this team, which is really what Dylan needs to fully thrive and reach that ceiling of production for his rookie season. And also just when he is pitched in more of an off-ball role, especially with De'Aaron Fox probably manning the helm on a lot of that ball handling. And obviously we know what Wemby and Stephon Castle bring as ball handlers and the types of roles that they'll be in. I just don't think Dylan can affect on the margins as well as Cooper. He's not as athletic or as emphatic as a cutter or in transition as what Cooper is. And I just think Dallas as well, they'll be a better team, and that also plays into this argument too. Defensively as well, just the overall versatility, I think Cooper's got him on that. And then the next closest rival, I reckon it'll either be between Trey Johnson or Con Knuppel. Between these two, I'd probably lean on Con's case to be a little bit stronger. So I reckon Con will finish in the top 3. I just think there's more reliability with him impacting offense, just with the off-ball gravity, the polished coming off screen that he brings to the game. Just really polished movement, identifying open space, just an ability to also use himself as a screener to a much higher degree. He also brings a stronger frame as well. I think that'll enable him to be able to be more aggressive downhill in those half-court environments than Trey Johnson. Also, just in terms of the IQ, just exceptional game sense and polished pace control for his position. He's actually a legitimate strong ball handler, really mature, really ball security conscious as well. Just more versatility across the board offensively. And I think Charlotte should be in a position to aim for at least 28 to 30 wins this year if they can stay healthy and they can substantially improve their winning culture. And obviously their identity, it's a pretty fun offensive identity at this point in time, and I just think Con adds to the polished aspect of the fun that Charlotte like to have and what they like to run around. And obviously their on-ball foundation at the moment between LaMelo and Brandon Miller, I think Con can fit in pretty seamlessly there. So I think Con will land in the top 3. However, though, My Rookie of the Year pick is Cooper. I just think he's in the best position, and I think he's going to have all eyes on him. He's just super mature, extremely ready as a prospect to run away with the Rookie of the Year for 2026. Now, for the next award, for the DPOY, we're staying on course with really just the theme of projected favourites. And I think my DPOY pick for this year is going to be Victor Wembanyama. I think this guy, I'm going to make the case pretty fast for this. He's the best rim deterrent in basketball and an elite shot contester at the rim. And literally just teams are just afraid of any sort of dribble penetration at all times. This guy brings absolutely ridiculous mobility and space coverage. And he offers that obviously with the wingspan and the super flexible and agile frame that he brings at 7'4". And this is just an absolute freak talent. And in terms of like rim coverage, like that is the most coveted asset amongst defensive prospects in the NBA. And that will really cultivate, again, what has been multiple all-time level campaigns in the modern era in terms of the defensive playmaking piece that Victor brings. Switchability as well. I think that will be something that does get pointed at a little bit too much with Victor, but this guy, the impact really stems mostly from the value of his presence on the floor. And this guy is someone that can bait players into really tough pull-up looks. And again, we're talking about a guy with the most obscene contesting radius in the NBA. So he's actually a plus switchable big in the NBA. Obviously, he's not technically sound with his footwork. He can sometimes give up angles. He can play pretty weak around his core sometimes. But this is a plus switchable big as well, and that adds to the versatility that he brings as a ball handler. This isn't just an obscene rim protector. This guy can actually step out onto the perimeter with real deterrence on driving lanes. And in terms of impact, I mean, this guy ranked in the 97th percentile for cleaning the glass's defensive differential metric. He was a negative 9.2 points per 100 possessions to opposing offenses. And so for San Antonio, I think his individual value is just skyrocketing past all of his rivals for this award. And I think his two biggest rivals for this award will be Chet Holmgren and Amen Thompson. Obviously, Chet's case will be just simple and really just the argument that we've seen for Rudy Gobert and why Rudy's won 4 Defensive Player of the Years. And that is that he's the best defender on the best defense in the NBA. And then also leading into like the technical side of things, I think Chet's a more disciplined defender. We're talking about vertical fundamentals where he goes up sky high. Switchable strengths as well. Like he's a bit more technical with his footwork on the perimeter and denying that dribble penetration and fully baiting in those tough intermediate pull-up looks. And in terms of like rim protection metrics, Chet Holmgren is the best rim protector in the NBA. Last season, in the regular season, we saw him affect shots at the rim by negative 18.1%. That number hasn't been rivaled by any rim protector since Giannis of 2020. And in terms of second place on that list, I think it was Kristaps Porzingis at negative 15.5%. So this is just one of the most dominant quality shot contesters at the rim that we have in the NBA. Just in terms of verticality, not many players actually are as pristine as Chet Holmgren at the moment. And that is really his case. And moving over to Amen Thompson and what he will cultivate for his case, it's more about the ability to mitigate the defensive shortages of Houston's center position. I think that will get huge spotlight in Houston. Obviously, their biggest weak link on the defensive end is really Şengün's poor rim protection impact. And I think Amen Thompson will be leaned on absolutely heavily once again as that hyper-athletic recovery athlete, some with elite matchup versatility and just all-around off-ball dominance. I mean, we're talking about a superhuman lightning speed type of player, extreme bounce, like the agility, the reaction speed to make plays across the floor that we wouldn't even think are possible. Obviously, like transition defense as well. Like this guy is exceptional. But I just think Wemby's case factors in something that neither Chet or Amen Thompson will be able to match, and it's something that majorly swings voters and media consensus, and that is basic stats and stock production. Last year, Wemby averaged 3.8 blocks per game, and he led the league in blocks even though he only played 46 games. And I just think these numbers just give him an initial advantage for onlooking voters. And though I disagree with the impact that these numbers do present, they no doubt play a huge factor in casual basketball media, which I just think is so prevalent in today's sports world. But regardless, I think Wemby should take out his first DPOY trophy, and I think it's because he's the most impactful defender in the world when we talk about his rim deterrence. And I think he has the opportunity to post historical stat lines once again and something that no one in the league can also rival. And I believe that he will take out the award pretty easily, especially if he can hit that 65 game limit, which I think is the only thing that would deter that case for him. Now moving on to the most improved award, I have Naz Reid from the Chicago Bulls taking out this award. This is more of a fun pick for me, and what really has me second guessing for me choosing Naz is really just the fact that typically this award goes for people in the midst of their careers, not guys just coming off rookie seasons. I just think I'm picking Naz because I believe that he could actually really step up his production numbers to a level that will have the basketball media extremely excited for his future as a star and cornerstone for the franchise of Chicago. Naz last season, he averaged 9 points and 4 rebounds and a very respectable 54% effective field goal percentage for a rookie, for someone who was considered extremely raw skill-wise. But for Naz, I mean, it was more about the mid-season improvement in role and production that we saw from him last year. And that's where he did take that starting role in Chicago. And that's really where he did start to take off as that play finishing piece at the power forward position for a pretty offensively juiced Chicago squad, especially for the back end of that regular season last year. We saw last year, from the start of February to April, Naz put together a stat line among 2.5 months of 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists, and a block a game on a super efficient 58 effective field goal percentage. And that came out to 49, 37, 81 respective splits. So with Naz, it's the extremely agile build that he brings, matched with the relatively polished skill that he brings as a multifaceted off-ball scoring weapon. I think last season we saw he's a pretty well-constructed shooter off the catch, so when he gets the advantage created for him, he can actually punish closeouts really well. He needs to work on the pull-up fluidity of his jump shot mechanics. That will be what probably holds him back from the overall ceiling that he might be able to bring with more on-ball reps. But the overall base is generally good, especially when we're talking about the touch and efficiency that he exhibited towards the back end of last season. Also, in terms of the offense, he's not the most secure frame, but for someone of his size, he is definitely coordinated enough. And he loves the closeout. I love the closeout attacking piece and the overall vertical pop that he brings to this team. I just also think Chicago, they don't have reliability in their front line's offense enough. And I just think Buzelis, again, just slots in the starting power forward position from the get-go. And I just think that's where he offers more positional versatility offensively. And obviously, I'm not sure how many on-ball reps that we're going to see Buzelis take for this season, but I still think the usage rate will still be pretty good, even though he is still seated next to Josh Giddey and Kobe White at the moment. Defensively as well, though, I think he's also a pretty strong athletic playmaker. And again, when we're talking about stat production, that does sway media consensus quite a bit. He's very capable against those physical bigs in small spurts of possessions. He has a lot of extra elevation and nice vertical pop, obviously. Strong protecting the cup in transition, especially relative to his slight frame. And I just think for Chicago, they need any ounce of competent defensive athleticism, especially in that front court, which still just has Nikola Jokic. You obviously have Josh Giddey at the point of attack as well at the moment. Kobe White's not a strong defender either. I just think they're going to be leaning on him a ton in terms of the backline rim protection piece. And really, there are so many potential rivals for Buzelis here. And obviously for this most improved award, it's really hard to predict from the start of the year. And to be honest, Naz probably poses a lower floor pick. I just think the fact that he is a sophomore and the fact that improvement is expected from guys coming off their rookie season, I just think the chances are he's not going to win it. But I could see Naz averaging close to 15 points, 6 rebounds, and about 2 stocks a game. And that, I think, to me, that makes him a pretty safe pick for this award. Most likelihood, this award will probably go to a range of different guys. And my favorites, in no order, for who I think will also land in this top 5 to 6 zone for this award. I think Davion Mitchell can make a really strong case. Shaedon Sharpe, Andrew Nembhard, Reed Shepherd, and Denny Avdia. But for me, I'm a big fan of Naz and the position that he is in at the moment, and especially being in an offensive-orientated Chicago Bulls squad, seated next to a strong table setter in Josh Giddey and a gravitational movement scoring guard in Kobe White. I just reckon he will be able to cultivate a pretty strong case to pose a higher scoring ceiling than he did last season. And I think that will cultivate his most improved player campaign. Now moving on to our last award, we have the Sixth Man of the Year, which I think will go to Naz Reid. And this, I'll go pretty fast through this one. I'm a big believer in Minnesota and really what they can continue to achieve as far as regular season success goes. I just think they have the intensity and the identity down pat. And I reckon if Minnesota can notch that 4 to 5 seed, I think Naz Reid can definitely take home his second Sixth Man of the Year trophy. I just think he's one of the more versatile bigs in basketball, massive mobile frame, but also extremely powerful as well. And that makes him capable of a multitude of scoring avenues. Obviously, he's a beastly closeout attacker. He's a guy that can pop and roll out of the pick. A guy that can provide some work on the block. He's got a 60% hook shot. Like, this is just a super, uber efficient scorer at the 5-man spot who can also slot into your 3 and 4 spots. So the schematic versatility is absolutely ticked off with him. He just brings the motor and aggression piece as well. And when you're bringing that for 30 minutes a night off the bench, I just think that also just adds to the ease at which you can make a case. And the ability for him to also uphold defensive intensity for this team that does love to wreak a lot of physical aggression in their defensive identity. I just think that also helps out as well for his overall impact for this team. And I just think he's absolutely mastered his role as a versatile plug-in spark big man, someone with extreme offensive ceiling in his play, and he's one of the premier play finishing bigs in the NBA today. And unlike Cat from a few years ago, Naz is someone that fits tremendously next to Rudy Gobert, and he just provides offensive spacing to an absolutely exceptional degree. And he provides legit ball handling chops, and also some great lateral competence as a switchable forward who can physically hassle defenders. And he slots in at that 4 spot next to Rudy extremely well. And that's where you can stagger those minutes between Julius, Gobert, and Naz Reid so seamlessly. I think his competition for this award will really be DeAndre Hunter. I think he's the favorite for this award at this point. Peyton Pritchard, I think he would rival him, but I'm pretty sure he's projected to start. And if I'm Boston, if I'm picking between Anthony Simons and Pritchard, if you're not starting both of them, I would pick Peyton Pritchard in terms of the reliability aspect and for the future of your team. I think Bobby Portis, he'll make a decent case for this. I think the Bucks will have heavy lenience on him and his frontline scoring. Jordan Clarkson, he's in a winning situation now, so he'll be able to make a decent case, especially as someone that could probably provide a lot of on and off ball juice for a New York team trying to bring more off ball play into their offensive system. Ty Jerome, I think he'll try and have a revenge season for not winning the 6-man of the award last year, which I reckon he should have, and also B, the fact that Cleveland gave up on him after what was a pretty awful postseason. So I think in Memphis, a team that desperately needs Ty Jerome's spacing and his polished perimeter creation, I think he'll make a great case for this. But no doubt, I think Naz Reid will make the strongest case to take home his second 6-man of the Year trophy. And so those are my picks for the 2025-26 NBA awards. Nikola Jokic winning another MVP. I've got Cooper Flagg taking home Rookie of the Year. Victor Wembanyama locking down his first Defensive Player of the Year. Matas Buzelis as my fun Most Improved pick. And Naz Reid taking home his second 6-man of the Year trophy. Every one of these races is going to be absolutely wide open, but based on the actual talent, the narratives, and how I just see the season playing out from here, from about 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts, these are the names that I'm betting on. Now, I want to hear from you guys. I mean, who are your award picks heading into next season? Do you agree with me on especially Jokic and Wemby, or do you think there's a sleeper that I'm sleeping on that could also make a really strong run at one of these award campaigns? Make sure you're following the podcast so you don't miss more previews as we get closer to tip-off, and join the conversation with me on my Instagram page at Casual NBA Fanatic. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode as we lead into the 2026 NBA season.